There are 6 high schools clustered in a single area of Kabul. At shift change, more than 20,000 students flood the surrounding streets at once. Inside each school, classrooms hold 70 students at a time, so packed that hearing the teacher clearly becomes difficult. And on most days, fewer than half the teachers show up, and fewer than 40% of the students do either. Over the next few minutes, here's how that plays out. Why teachers are absent so often. Why students follow the same pattern. How little of the system's own rules actually get enforced. And the private alternative quietly built around all of it for anyone serious about reaching university.
In Kabul and other major cities, a typical Afghan high school runs 3 shifts per day. There's a morning shift, an afternoon shift, and a night shift reserved for older students in grades 10 through 12. Each shift can have up to 4,000 students, sometimes even more. Those students are split into dozens of classrooms, with each classroom holding 70 students. In rooms this crowded, most students can barely hear the teacher from the back.
Each class period runs 35 minutes. There are no scheduled breaks between classes, so that time must also cover a teacher's walk to the next classroom. In schools spread across multiple buildings, this sometimes means walking to an entirely different building. Across a full day of classes, a dedicated teacher can lose up to 20 minutes total just in transit. This shrinks the amount of real teaching time available in every period. That is the best case, and that's only when a teacher shows up at all.
Every teacher is required to sign an attendance record, creating a paper trail for every period taught. In practice, many teachers sign for entire weeks at once, even for classes they never taught. They might do this right in front of the principal, with neither of them saying a word. The result? Around 50% of class periods have no teacher present, even though the books show a full schedule. This happens on ordinary school days, when no inspector from the Education Ministry is expected.
A veteran teacher, someone with 5 to 10 years in the classroom, earns the equivalent of around $45 per month for their government shift. That is not a starting salary. It is what experience buys. But even that experience isn't enough to cover a household's basic costs. So most teachers work multiple shifts: government school in the morning, private school or private tutoring in the afternoon. The government shift ends up being the least paid, the least supervised, and the least consequential part of their day. Absence is easy, and it has almost no consequences.
Students follow that same pattern for their own reasons. Attendance is supposed to be recorded twice daily. In practice, a class representative marks who is present and leaves the absent spots blank. When those students eventually return, sometimes days later, their missed days are simply erased from the record. Official rules say that excessive absences should cost a student the right to sit final exams. The workaround is a hospital certificate, widely available and rarely challenged.
Student absence follows a logic of its own, because none of it carries real consequences. The school year starts slow, since students know little real teaching happens in the first few weeks anyway. A little rain or snow is enough to keep many home. Attendance drops sharply the week after a holiday like Eid. Even cultural observances like Teachers' Day get treated as informally school optional. The system has learned to expect all of it and stopped trying to stop it.
The lack of official presence is not just in the classroom. It extends to school security. Enforcement for the entire student body falls to 2 groups: a single discipline teacher and a team of student volunteers. To staff the entrance gate, those volunteers have to miss their own classes too. students are searched for prohibited items. Phones and cigarettes are regularly found. But security also turns up weapons. Knives are common, and sometimes pistols. Enforcement is inconsistent for two reasons. One teacher cannot watch thousands of students, and the volunteer enforcers are often personal friends with the very students they are supposed to check. Some students are stopped, many are not.
That same gap between rule and practice carries into the exam room. Afghanistan's examination system gives teachers complete authority over grading. A teacher can award full marks to a blank paper or 0 to a correct one with no external check. Questions are supposed to be split between 2 student groups to prevent copying, but since question papers aren't printed, both sets have to be read aloud by the teacher. In practice, one group starts writing their answers and copying from each other before the teacher even finishes reading to the other group. Cheating is visible. Most teachers do not intervene.
Nearly every student fails the first term. Nearly every student passes the second. The first term functions as a display of strictness. The second moves everyone along, because holding students back year after year is seen as pointless and has never been the habit. The students who understood this early stopped treating the government exam as the measure that matters. They prepare elsewhere.
Students who want to reach university attend 2 full-time schools. Government school in the morning, enough to stay registered and eligible for the final exam. Private tutoring courses in the afternoon, where the real preparation for university entrance exams happens. These courses cost money. Transport between shifts is difficult and unreliable. Families who cannot afford private tutoring are not competing on equal terms. The advantage is structural, not individual.
Afghanistan's governmental schools are not failing because students or teachers stopped caring. They are failing because the system itself makes the right behavior harder than the wrong one. It's a system defined by low wages, huge class sizes, and a lack of oversight. The students who reach university mostly got there despite the government school, not because of it. For more on how Afghan education and everyday life actually work, visit aboutafg.com.